Hello, I'm Stephen Williford, and I'd like to do my presentation on A Study in Scarlet over the different perspectives that the author uses. The first part of the novel is spoken from the perspective of Watson. Watson is a medic from Afghanistan who was discharged after receiving some military damage, and he rooms with Sherlock Holmes, who happens to be a detective and a chemist. Uh, I read half the novel, and once I got to the end, even though it didn't really feel as if it should be the end, it had a conclusion. He found out who the murderer was. When I started reading the second part, it seemed completely off topic to the novel, and I thought I was done with the book, and I went to do my work. And once I went with my group, they told me that the second half of the novel was from a different perspective, which was from John Ferrier. Um, and also a third party, just a like an entity that was there viewing them. So it was weird because it wasn't from Mr. Watson. That I thought that because I've read books before where there wasn't, like, they had multiple stories in the same book. They were completely different stories. So that's what I thought it was. But once I realized exactly what was happening and I read the second part, then I was thoroughly impressed with how the author used the different perspectives to give a deeper meaning to the novel. Because if he would have just stopped where he stopped where I stopped, I had no idea why the cab driver had murdered those two men. It could have been anything, really, and you would be left to have to make your own assumptions. But then when he goes like the second half, you start to realize, hey, this this guy was about to die. He got saved by Mormons. The only way he could live is by living by Mormons, even though he doesn't really want to. Now he has to give his daughter up because she's of marrying age, and he doesn't want to give it to a selfish Mormon. A good guy comes around, he gets found out, she gets kidnapped, he gets killed. The fiance turns into a guy full of revenge. He spends the rest of his life searching for them and has a heart disease because of it. But without that, if all you have to go by is the two dead men, the crime scene, the wedding ring that was found, and then the cab driver that comes out of nowhere that Sherlock Holmes deducts, you really don't have a very good story then. All you have is a guy who he couldn't even be the murderer. He may not even be the guy who he says he is. Just a regular cab driver. Another thing I was impressed with was the storyline itself. I wasn't really expecting it to go in that detail once I realized that Jefferson Hope was a guy in the mines. I had a hypothesis that the murders were going to be based on some kind of gold that they found that they tried to split, and then one guy wanted it all for himself. Once I realized that he was going to marry a girl who was stolen from him, and the guy who stole her didn't even want her. He just wanted the stuff, and he already had stuff. He had stuff for days. He had acres of stuff. Who knows how much stuff he had? Didn't matter. Didn't matter because he wanted more, killed her dad, stole her. She died within a month, and he got the inheritance. But Jefferson knew what was going on. I like Jefferson just because he never quit. After a few years, he could have saw that it was futile, that he would have never reached them. They were always guarded. He never left without the other. They kept watch each other's backs. But he stayed persistent. So just the story in general, along with the two perspectives, were two things that really caught my eye in the book that I was impressed with. Those elements piqued my interest and made me read quicker and enjoy it more versus a story that I really wouldn't want to read but was forced to read in English class. And I'm glad I was able to read this one.